Well, what an adventure that was. So I'm going to produce this video as a short introduction into Richard and mine's trip to Ireland. So how it happened and what went right, what went wrong, what we liked, what we didn't like. I'm going to do that now, partially because I took my new GoPro camera to the show, didn't use the radio mics. That was a mistake. So unfortunately the GoPro played up and I lost a load of footage. So it doesn't matter, because all the bits that I've missed you can fill in, because you're going to go and watch Richard's video as well. So he's going to have some stuff that I haven't got. I got a few bits that he hasn't got, so you put the two together and you'll get the entire picture. But anyway, someone was very pleased for me to get home yesterday, day before yesterday, and I was very pleased to see her too. So how did this all come about? Funky Farmer and I, Rich Cornock, we and ahed about doing a trip abroad or doing a trip somewhere, doing something together, collaboration. We hadn't decided what we were going to do. So last year, Rich came to me, he said, someone's just messaged me and said, why don't we go to the National Ploughing Championships in Ireland? And I said, I've never been to Ireland. And he said, nor had he. We thought that was a good idea. So that's what we decided to do. We were going to do National Ploughing Championships this year. And that was it. That's as far as we got. So we talked about it a few times and said, no, as time gets on, we'll have to start arranging stuff. Anyway, I did a little bit of video, some time ago now, with Class Western on an Abbey diet feeder demonstration up at a local farm. And that's where I met Nick Evans. Now, Nick Evans, you'll see in the videos, tall chap, follically challenged, nice fella. Sorry, Nick. And he's like the regional manager for Abbey in this country. And he saw me with a video camera and he said, who are you? What are you doing? I told him. And he said, oh, maybe if you're ever in Ireland, you could come and visit the Abbey factory. And I said, well, strange you should say that. We're coming over for the National Ploughing Championships. Are you? Oh. Well, if you'd like to come and have a visit at the factory, you can do that. Well, we'll host you. And I said, that would be lovely. And that's where it got left for a while. And a month later, I was talking to Richard about it again. I mentioned that I'd met Nick and said, we might get a tour of the factory, and that would fill in the day. Because we thought we were going to come over for 3 days. That's partially because Richard can't have any more time off than that anyway, because his brother's on holiday this week, so he had to get back milking and cows and dairy stuff. So it was 3 days. Well, the National Ploughing Championships, that was going to be 1 day. We had 2 days to fill up. Well, we thought, well, if we could do a factory tour, that's another day. So this is how the seed of this thing got planted and how it evolved. So I contacted Nick again and said, wait, stop fighting you. Sorry, it's Biscuit telling me your ass off. Where he would suggest we stayed, because obviously we've never been, they're over there a lot. And he basically said, well, why don't you see if you can get a room at the hotel where we are, which is not far down the road from the factory. And then if you want, you can come with us to the show on the next day. And I thought, that's fantastic, because we were going to hire a car. Wasn't too happy about leaving a hire car in the middle of a plough field or whatever. We didn't know what we were going to go. So that's what we did. We ended up staying at the Abbey Court Hotel in Nina. Fantastic, lovely place, great people. Bar was good, food was good, just no complaints at all. So Abbey very kindly booked us in under their name so we could get their discount. Another bonus, fantastic. So that's what we did. We were going to do into Dublin, down to Nina, book in the hotel, then and just sort of chill for the day. Then next day go to the show, and then final day we were going to go and do the visit of the Abbey factory. Well, that kind of got changed around a little bit. Nick had to come home early Friday morning, so he couldn't do the tour of the factory. So it was changed that we would get into Dublin Airport. I think we arrived at about 11:40, something like that. Go and get a hire car, go straight to the factory, which is what we did. So the first video is us basically traveling to Dublin, in the car to the factory, tour around the factory. I lost some of my footage there, unfortunately, because I didn't review the footage till I got home. I didn't know that I'd lost it. Some of the picture went all fuzzy and blurry. You can't see it, so I couldn't use it. Anyway, so I've clipped what I can out of that. Richard's also done a load of videos, so all his interviews and everything on there, so you can go and watch that on Richard's video. Anyway, so we did the factory, back to the hotel. The folks from Abbey said, would you like to come out for a meal? And we said, that would be lovely. They took us out for, none of this was pre-arranged or that. It was all like it just sort of evolved as it went along. And I will have to stress that none of this was, this video isn't sponsored by Abbey or any, I'm wearing their hat, but, but they weren't sponsored, nothing, there was no money involved, okay? They invited us to go around the factory and no money involved at all, until the end, which we didn't know about. I'll come to that. So they said, oh, would you like to come out? We're going to go out for a meal tonight. And we said, well, you know your way around the place. We'll go where you're going. They took us out for a meal. They did not let us buy a drink, and they did not let us pay for our meal. So we had a free meal, which was brilliant, because I had quite a big, 29 quid steak at a place called Andy's, I think it was. Nice. Very nice. So next morning was an early start. So we were going to show the Thursday. So everybody was up for like 5:30, breakfast at 6 o'clock. And then they realised that we couldn't get in on our tickets because we didn't have trade stand tickets. We only had like Joe Blogg's tickets. We couldn't get in till 8 o'clock. So we delayed our departure till 7, got to the showground for 8 o'clock, got in there, and we had basically advertised, so as some of you will know this, that we would be on the tray stand between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. We'd have 2 hours on the trade stand if anybody wanted to come and say hello. Richard and I were expecting, I don't know, dozen, maybe 2 dozen people would come and say hello. So there was no great expectations. But before 11 o'clock, we could have a wander around the showground, which we did. And unfortunately, I lost a load more footage from that. I met Karen Monaghan, and I was so looking forward to seeing her, and I got no video of Karen at all. Sorry. But I did manage to save the video from Phil Stewart, although my video of Phil Stewart is exactly the same as Phil Stewart's and Funky Farmer's video of me. We were all stood there holding the camera in a big triangle. And it was nice to meet Phil, great to meet Karen. But on the way around, we were literally doing 20, 30 paces, and then someone would come and stop and say hello to me because they knew me, or they'd come and say hello to Richard because they knew Richard, or both of us. So lots of kids, lots of handshaking, lots of swapping bits of story and stuff. It was great. I mean, the welcome we got there was so warm and so genuine, and so not wrong, slightly uncomfortable, because they all knew us. And it's the same wherever we go. Whenever we go somewhere, folks come up and talk to us like they know us, because they kind of do. We haven't got a clue who they are. So it's odd. It's odd. Anyway, we managed to get back to the trade stand, Abbey's trade stand. We came in through the back way. We thought we'll just sneak in. And there was already a queue of people there waiting to see us. And that queue dissipated at about 10 to 1. And it was just constant. So in the video you'll see I took a bit of video. I only managed to save one clip. The rest of it all went blurry again, so I lost most of it. Thankfully Abbey took some photographs. Nick Evans took some photographs, and they also did a bit of drone work. So they sent us the clips of that. I've managed to put that in our video. And then what we said to folks was, if you want to take a selfie with us, I've got a daughter making rude gestures at me. Yeah. Yeah, okay. If you want to take a selfie with us, if you want to send it to us by Instagram or whatever else, we'll post it up on the video. So far I've had about 20 people send me a picture. Unfortunately, by the time you see this video, that video will already be edited. So if you haven't done it, it's too late. So if you sent us the picture, wait to the end of the first video, we're on the Abbey stand, and there'll be a 3 or 5 second clip of you up there. I'm going to try and add names to that if I can, but it's a lot of work and I ain't got much time because we've got to edit the Abbey video as well, get all the videos done, and yeah, just try and tick some boxes. Anyway, so we did the show, brilliant, fantastic. By the time we got back that evening, we were exhausted, so we had supper in the hotel. Richard and I went down for supper, and the Abbey crew were in there again, and I tried to buy a round of drinks, and they were having none of it. They wouldn't let me. It was basically put your credit card away, we're having none of it, and they bought our drinks and our meal again that night. So I can't, this is why I'm wearing the hat, all right? They didn't ask me to wear this hat. I'm just doing it because I'm flying the flag, because they were so kind and so generous and so genuine. Abbey, if you don't already know, is an Irish company that makes machinery for the cow. Everything from the beginning to the end, from feeding it to catering for it to cleaning it out. They do the whole lot in one range. This isn't an advert for them, but they really were so generous and so kind that the least I can do is give them a plug. So Nick Evans, who was our local rep, if you're a machinery dealer in the UK and you want to supply Abbey stuff, he's the guy you speak to, and he's the guy that comes and sorts you out. Anyway, I had sausage and mash, which was very nice, and we sat down with a load of the crew, and they wouldn't let us pay it. They wouldn't. In fact, they went off and disappeared and paid the bill before we'd even finished. So again, so generous. And then next morning, I went down to pay my room bill, and they paid that too. So yeah, like I say, nothing was asked, nothing was demanded, nothing was expected. We walked away with a hat each and a jacket each. The jackets are quite warm actually, and some very fond memories, and I think some new friends. So yeah, again, Abbey, all of you, family-run business, literally run by the family. Fantastic, and you do make a quality product. So we know that because we saw how you do it. Anyway, so Friday morning we said goodbye to everybody from Abbey. We said goodbye to the Abbey Court Hotel, and we drove northeast to Cavan to meet up with a friend, a guy I've known for years and years. You all know him as I Farm, We Farm, or Adrian Morris. I found Adrian on YouTube literally when he started. I just came across his channel. It was a suggestion by YouTube, and he was just in the process of building his new calf shed. So, and I knew straight away that this guy was going somewhere because he's just got the nature. He's just got the gift of communication, generally nice bloke. So instant subscribe to him, and literally within a week or so I'd given him a couple of plugs, and if I helped him out and if I helped him get where he is, then brilliant. And he's done the same for me. We've plugged each other a couple of times. So anyway, we spoke to Mrs. Morris, and she suggested a hotel for us to stay at, which we booked into and we went to. And the idea was we would drive there from Tipperary, or Nina, go to the hotel, book in, get rid of our luggage, shoot down the road to see Adrian and Shania. Sorry, I'm going to cut that and do that again. I've forgotten her name. Sinead. Shania. So Sinead basically gave us a recommendation of a hotel, which was just up the road. Booked in there, and then the idea was to go down, have a cup of tea with them, work out if we were going to go out for somewhere for the evening and do something, and go back to the hotel, freshen up, and then go back. That didn't happen. When we got there, we learnt that actually we were staying there for supper. So another steak, another free meal. Do you know we've already paid for any food on this holiday, apart from the last one, which we'll come to. So we ended up staying there until I think it was about 11 o'clock at night, and we just talked and put the worlds to right and shot a little bit of video. Literally, we probably shot maybe half an hour in total video of while we were there. But we were there for most of the afternoon and all evening. And we just talked, we had a whale of a time, met the girls, typical teenage girls. I recognised all the traits straight away from having 4 of my own. So you're really interesting when you're over there, but when you're out close, you're dead dull or embarrassing. You know, this is dad stuff. You know, dads are embarrassing. But yeah, hi girls. So yeah, we had a great evening there. I had a walk tour in the farm, both sets of the farm, walked around the grottage as Richard called it, and hopefully one day we'll come back over and maybe stay there. You never know. Then back to the hotel. I think I got back to the hotel about 11:30, 11:45. I went straight to bed, which is unusual for me. Usually I like a shower before I go to bed, but we were that tired, straight to bed. Anyhow, bath next morning, freshen up. We said we'd go back and see Adrian, have a cup of tea with them again before we went on to Dublin. Richard wanted to have a look at Dublin because he was thinking of maybe taking the family there on another trip. And we ended up staying at Adrian's for another 2 or 3 hours, putting the worlds to rights. So, yeah, fantastic. So, apart from, we were a bit late getting to Adrian's because we had a phone call from, was it Bobby's mum? Bobby's mum, who lives in Cavan, said, could I possibly bring Bobby and his granddad, Jimmy, up? They'd love to meet you. So we met them in the hotel foyer, the Aragon that was, just at the road. Had a chat with them. Poor old Bobby didn't know what to do with himself. Poor fellow was so embarrassed. Anyhow, your photograph is on the end reel of the National Ploughing Championships video. So it is there, along with your granddad, Jimmy. Hi, folks. So yeah, so it was time to say goodbye to Adrian and Sinead. I think we left there about 10:30. So I do have a promise to keep. I know this is going to upset a few of you, but I do have a promise to keep to Adrian. I told him I would do it. Cavan for Sam. There you go. So I'm going to have a bit of love and a lot of hate, I reckon, from that. So, Cavan for Sam. Okay, so, getting warm. We went to Dublin. Drove to Dublin. Sinead very kindly gave me, programmed my sat-nav, my phone sat-nav, to take me to the car park that we should go to. And the idea is we would go down to, I think it was the Temple something or other we went to. Apparently that's where all the tourists went. We went there, and we had a look round, and we had something to eat there in, what was it? A Wow Burger? Was it a Wow Burger? Yeah, that wasn't beef. Don't know what that was. It was that was the strangest tasting burger I've ever had. But I was decided that after we'd wandered around down through there, that Richard probably wouldn't take his family down there. We'd probably go somewhere else. So yeah, Dublin's massive. It is huge, and I got nothing against cities apart from the fact that they're full of people, and me and people, they're alright. I like people over there, just not there and here, and it was heaving. So yeah, I know it's the capital, and I know you're all very proud of it, but mind you, in saying that, I've only been to London about 3 times in my life. I don't want to go there either, or Bristol, or Gloucester. Actually, I don't want to go any city. So don't take it personal. It's not personal. It's just that it was heaving. And then finally back to the airport. We took our hire car back. Neither of us had done that for so long. We weren't sure of the protocols, so we drove back to the airport 4 hours before our flight. Make sure we have plenty of times. If there's any issues they need to sort out, we could get that sorted out. That was after filling up with fuel and paying our tolls, which I had to go to the garage twice because I filled up with fuel on the pump with my card, drove off, realised I hadn't paid the toll, went back to the garage, had to go in the garage anyway and pay the tolls. So some toll roads in Ireland, you can just tap your credit card or pay cash on the booth. But I think it was the M50, it was automatic, so I presume it snaps your number plate, so you have to pay that at a garage. And I think pretty much all garages, we'll come back to garages, all garages, you can pay your tolls in the garage when you're buying fuel, which seems to work all right. But yeah, it was a 4-hour wait in the airport for our flight, which got delayed to a 5-hour, and then a 5.5-hour wait because the plane was delayed, and then the plane broke, and then they had to get another plane, and then the plane that we got had no facilities on it because it was one that had just come back from somewhere else. They just bunged some fuel in it and shut us on, so there was no drinks, no food, no nothing. But yeah, Ryanair struggled on that one. Garages. Lots of the garages have little delis in them, and those little delis, I mean, obviously we haven't seen all of them, but the ones we did see, it's brilliant. Why can't we do that over here? Brilliant. So no hot food all day, pick what you want in a bun or whatever else, it was in there. It was great. So yeah, and the Obama Plaza, that was the big one we went to. That was an eye-opener. So I did quite well there. We went in there, I was hungry because I'd not eaten anything all day. Richard had had breakfast, I hadn't, and it was late. What would that have been? 1 o'clock-ish, 1, 2 o'clock? No, later than that, 2, 3 o'clock. I went in there and decided I was going to have the roast beef. Nice young lady behind the counter. I said, could I have the beef, please? And she said, what do you want with it? I said, everything. And that's what I got, everything. Richard came behind me, he said, I'll have the same. Yeah, obviously I was obviously more attractive or something. Yeah, right. Anyway, my plate was overflowing, his was not. So I only rubbed that in a few times every day. My wife has changed the coffee since I've been gone. I don't like that. Anyway, so that's basically the story. A lot of this trip has happened by chance, by accident. The whole thing's been organic. Nothing was sponsored, even if I am wearing their hat or the t-shirt. So just basically call that a shout out if you want. Again, sincere thanks to everybody at Abbey. They basically took us under their wing and looked after us, and we were just astounded with the hospitality, and I can't really thank them enough. It's made the trip very, very memorable. So thank you all very much indeed. Thank you to everybody that came and visited us on the stand. There were many of you. Nobody counted. I thought it was 150-ish. Abbey reckoned, or somebody from Abbey reckoned it was over 200. I can remember Nick on the trade stand there. Every time I looked at him, he was shaking his hand, going, I don't believe it. We didn't believe how many came to see us. It was humbling, gratifying. Name all these things above. Stuck us on a bit of a pedestal, which is always very dangerous because anything off the ground is a long way to hit the floor, then it hurts more. So I'm keeping my feet on the floor. Right, so that is best part of 24 minutes of me rambling on and you listening to how this happened. So I might use this video, I might go and review it, decide I was rubbish and do it again. But if not, thank you for being with us. Thank you for your support. Thank you, Ireland. Thank you, everybody. Just thank you. It was great. Cavan for Sam.